In a post-apocalyptic Earth where a powerful company owns all the remaining water, a rebel must work with a jet mechanic to take down the evil CEO. In 2033, the planet is a barren desert due to a comet crashing on Earth 10 years ago. It's been 11 years since it last rained, making life difficult for the few remaining survivors. Rebecca Buck rides her water buffalo as she scours the land, searching for a perfect gift for her boyfriend's birthday. She stumbles upon the Water and Power Corporation soldiers' corpses that the Rippers had feasted on. The Rippers are demonic mutant creatures that eat human flesh. A scientist, Johnny Prophet, is the Rippers' leader, and the group's main agenda is raiding the Water and Power Corporation, or WP, the company that controls almost all of the planet's water sources. Rebecca searches one corpse, takes a baseball-sized danger ball, a gun, a water bottle, and leather boots. In the Renegade headquarters, Richard asks his friend Town if he's fixed the water pump, and then goes down into the underground garden to water the plants. However, Rebecca confronts and accuses him of stealing water while pointing a gun at the man. Richard raises his hands in surrender as the woman commands him to remove his clothes. Suddenly, two children come running down the stairs, and they grumble that Richard and Rebecca are being weird again. The two adults break out of their roleplay, laugh, and kiss each other, revealing that Richard is Rebecca's aforementioned boyfriend. At the WP headquarters, Kesslee, the CEO, is having a toast with his officers after finally securing 95% of water resources. He congratulates Captain DeRouche, the man responsible for leading the team. However, the captain notes with a smug look that he'll capture the remaining diminutive land in no time, angering Kessler by mentioning Blue Dune as just a small piece of land. He breaks the glass map as he lectures that Blue Dune has 3 million liters of water, and he can't afford to lose it to the rebels. Once he calms down, the CEO asks the captain to remove his shoes and walk on the glass shards towards him, which the officer does. Kesslee berates DeRouche for being a coward, before hugging the man and plunging a device into the captain's back. Much to the other officers' horror, the device begins to suck the victim's blood and automatically filters it into water, which Kesslee drinks while casually walking over the glass shards barefoot. Then he commands Sergeant Small to be the leader of the water supply retrieval, much to the officers' delight. That evening, Rebecca watches guard on the perimeter when Sam comes to surprise the woman. Rebecca hands the girl a danger ball if Sam promises to bring her food. In the house, Richard finally finds the pair of boots, Rebecca's gift, and happily puts them on. Outside, Rebecca hears heavy boots behind her, thinking it's Richard. However, when she turns around, she's surprised to face a WP soldier. She immediately tries to seduce the man to get his guard down. Then she kicks him and pulls the pin from the grenade on his vest, blowing him up. Realizing that their base is under attack, Rebecca uses the soldier's rifle to take down some of the men, but she is unable to save Richard, who perishes from gunfire. The soldiers were sent there to ambush the group for stealing water from WP, and they slay her water buffalo, stating that she isn't supposed to own an animal. Because she killed multiple soldiers, the men decide to take her in as a prisoner and knock her unconscious. Soon the soldiers take Rebecca to Kesslee, who immediately asks her to work for him, seeing how talented a fighter she is. The woman refuses, making the man smile. Eventually, they put her to work digging tunnels for the installation of water pipes along with the other prisoners. After she takes a shower, she hears a commotion and investigates. She sees Sergeant Small harassing Jet, a genius mechanic, and immediately barges in to intervene. Rebecca exclaims that Jet is her girlfriend and kisses the woman, disgusting the officer, who walks away. Jet thanks Rebecca for saving her from the perverse man. At the end of the shift, the guards push the prisoners back to their individual cells, not noticing that Rebecca's been hiding inside a tube. She then sneaks into the tank and tries to operate the vehicle. However, the tank automatically closes because the woman enters the wrong code, and the inside fills with a poisonous gas. Luckily, Jet saves her, and Rebecca pushes the mechanic to hijack the tank, unaware that Sergeant Small has reported them to Kesslee. Because Jet helped the prisoner, the CEO tasks Sergeant Small to inform the mechanic that she's lost her rights to test any machine, and that her access to the hangar's been revoked, upsetting Jet. Suddenly, Rebecca appears to comfort her while mentioning her plan of escaping. The fearful Jet tells Rebecca that they don't have any chance of escaping as prisoners, but Rebecca is adamant. Unbeknownst to them, Kesslee keeps tabs on Rebecca, and they easily capture the woman to torture her. After placing her in a freezer for an extended period of time, Rebecca shows her resilience by answering back at the owner, prompting Kesslee to put her inside a long pipe that triggers claustrophobia. The horrifying experience makes the woman remember her lover's death and Sam asking for help, before she finally passes out. Days later, Kesslee loses his outpost water station to the Rippers. They think that the enemies are using an underground subgate, so the CEO plans to use Rebecca to infiltrate the Rippers' camp. He places a tracking device in her body linked to a watch-like accessory on his wrist to monitor her heart rate, before pushing her into a quicksand-like entrance. They warn the woman that this entrance might be filled with booby traps. Suddenly, the Rippers jump out and surprise attack the WP soldiers. In the sky, an aircraft arrives to help eliminate the monsters, when the pilot suddenly gets ejected. Jet takes over the pilot's seat and watches the Rippers and soldiers fight. Mid-battle, Rebecca hides under the tank and grabs a gun. When the gunfire ceases, she steps out of her hiding spot, sees Kesslee's dismembered arm, and stomps on the device on his wrist. Suddenly, the aircraft lands on the ground, so Rebecca readies her gun. However, when Jet exits the vehicle, the woman puts down her weapon. The mechanic is overjoyed to see that the rebel is safe from the Rippers and says that they need to leave. Rebecca refuses to come with her if she plans to return to WP, but Jet reveals that she's also decided to escape. The mechanic's words delight Rebecca, but a nearby guttural sound alerts them, indicating that there could still be Rippers around. Jet tells Rebecca to drive the tank while she takes the aircraft. Ecstatic, the woman enters the war machine and maneuvers it after entering the code Jet gave her. However, the rebel doesn't know how to control the machine and accidentally hits the other woman's forehead. Back at WP, Kesslee is in a precarious state, with his face mangled and his left arm missing. The doctor tells the leader that in his current condition, recovery is impossible and offers to provide pain medication, but Kesslee refuses. Suddenly, Sergeant Small introduces Chetsai, a cybernetic surgeon who promises to modify the CEO and replace his arm with a cyber limb in exchange for water. Kesslee agrees by commanding his sergeant to slay the female doctor, deeming her useless. Meanwhile, the women find themselves in an eccentric sub-woman's lair where Rebecca recognizes Sam's handiwork and finds out that the girl is being forced to work in a gentleman's club called Liquid Silver. Planning to rescue her friend, the women modify their vehicles, with Jet fixing her plane and Rebecca painting her tank to avoid getting recognized by WP men. Unbeknownst to them, Sam is deliberately being used as bait by Kesslee to lure them into the location. At the club, the women dress up to infiltrate the building while the madam, owner of Liquid Silver, orders Sam to service a customer, Ratface, against her will. As the man pulls on the girl, Sam cleverly lures him into snatching her lunchbox and making him hold the danger ball, before activating it to stab the man's hand. Seconds later, Rebecca appears and rescues the girl, but the madam sees them and orders her men to slay the trespasser. However, she doesn't see Jet, who sneaks up behind her with a gun to take her hostage. To humiliate the evil woman, Rebecca forces her to sing a song at gunpoint, encouraging the crowd to join in. The WP men break into the club and capture the girl during the performance. The men take her on the plane while the two women are unable to chase after them. In the WP headquarters, Sam meets the newly modified Kesslee. To save Sam, Rebecca and Jet traverse the desert in search of the Ripper's hideout to ask for help. They stumble upon an underground gate where they encounter the Rippers without their masks. Later, the women are given truth gas while the Rippers try to interrogate them. Believing them to be spies, T-Saint insists on slaying the women. However, Booga and Donner refuse such violence after they find the prisoner's stamp on Jet's arm. So the Ripper's leader, BT, asks for the group's collective vote, and they decide to imprison the women instead. They put Booga on guard duty, who grows close to the ladies when he reveals that the government had Johnny Prophet create a mutant by splicing human and kangaroo DNA, initially creating the Rippers as super soldiers for the war. However, once the army no longer needed the mutants, the government ordered Johnny Prophet to eliminate the mutants, which he couldn't do. The ladies immediately propose to visit the scientist, but Booga reveals that Johnny has gone to New Zealand to collaborate with another scientist to make seawater drinkable. In the middle of their conversation, T-Saint catches them talking and scolds his friend. Later, Donner intercepts a message from the WP about a shipment from the Red Sands, which the Rippers think is cargo containing weapons. T-Saint grumbles his doubts about the shipment, deeming it a possible trap. Soon, the Rippers ask the women to sneak into Red Sand shipment as a form of initiation and to prove that they're not spies. In preparation, Donner gives them a camera and communication devices. The pair spy on the shipment by sending pictures to the Rippers. However, T-Saint is still unconvinced and wants them to move in closer, so they're sure that the crates contain weapons. So Rebecca struts in, pretending to have the men model in front of the crates, lying about wanting to use them for WP's calendar. Jet plays along, taking pictures of the guns. After leaving the fake photo shoot, Rebecca rides the modified tank to attack the delivery truck, while Jet appears late due to her plane malfunctioning. Rebecca takes over the truck skillfully, but isn't out of danger as the truck's brakes don't work. She disconnects the vehicle and the cargo, but the woman almost falls off the cliff. Luckily, Booga appears and grabs her back to safety, and Rebecca smiles at the friendly mutant. Triumphant, the Rippers and the ladies celebrate in a banquet, welcoming Rebecca and Jet into their group. DT blesses them with his soulful poetry before they perform a prayer through dancing that Rebecca enjoys with Booga, and the reluctant Jet with Donner. After the party, the group inspects the stolen cargo, seeing that a few boxes are empty and some contain weapons. However, they also discover one containing Johnny Prophet's corpse. The Rippers mourn their creator's demise, howling and crying sorrowfully. After planning their attack, the gang infiltrates WP, with Rebecca parachuting with her tank while the rest follow in the aircraft. As Rebecca distracts the guards, Jet and the Rippers enter by fooling the communication technician personnel. While Kesslee awaits the group's arrival, he puts Sam in the narrow pipe, slowly filling it with water to drown the girl. Meanwhile, the gang realizes they've been tricked by the WP as 164 men await to ambush them. To help their mission, DT sacrifices himself while destroying the generator, which cuts off the power supply to the whole building. Enraged by their leader's demise and now covered by the darkness, the Rippers turn the battle in their favor as they slaughter the soldiers easily with help from Rebecca's tank. During the battle, Rebecca searches for Sam when she comes across Kesslee, who overpowers her with his new cyber arm. He reveals that Rebecca's been bugged all along, and he's known her location this whole time. Convinced he now has the upper hand, Kesslee forces Rebecca to admit defeat for Sam's life. However, Rebecca refuses, saying she prefers the girl's demise over Sam living as the madman's slave. Just then, her tank arrives, blasting the electric bars, which allows Rebecca to push Kesslee into a metal grate, where his arm gets stuck. She then fires beer cans at the CEO using her tank, but he deflects them with his bionic arm. The last can hits a bucket of water above Kesslee, and the liquid causes his holographic head to glitch. Finally, Rebecca ends him with a device that sucks his blood dry and filters it into water. Moments later, the woman pulls Sam out from the pipe, but they're intercepted by WP men. Suddenly, Booga jumps out from behind the men and explains that they've already surrendered, prompting Rebecca to happily kiss him. Eventually, Rebecca rides her vehicle, blasting the water tanks to release the liquid for everyone to enjoy, and she glides on the waves while pulling Booga on water skis.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.